Hello and welcome to the first video tour of Nuts Bolts Nursery Cooperative in Smithfield, Rhode Island. We've been here almost a year, I think about 11 months, and since we got here, we've done quite a bit. We're here at Revive the Roots, an awesome organization in Smithfield, Rhode Island on Farnham Pike. Definitely check them out. We'll throw some links in the description. Yeah, so it's been a year and I haven't really done a whole lot of documentation, and so just trying to get something on the record, and maybe it's helpful to someone. So wander around. So we've got a bunch of permanent raised beds on contour. These are all just sketched out with wood chips, and then they were capped with some topsoil, and then we've been working some compost and stuff into them since. And they're roughly on contour, trying to catch water. You know the deal. So we've got some Turkish rocket. All this is from seed. These are in their second year, super big. We'll maybe be offering some root cuttings of these this year, if not definitely next year. So that'll be exciting. These are a really great plant. Tasty broccoli, asparagus-like florets. You can see some of it's going to seed over here. These are some of the flowers. Flowers are edible too. So we'll have a bunch of that. We've got some oregano growing in there. That's going to sprawl out as a ground cover. It is really nice here. End of every bed, we try to have a comfrey so that we always have mulch at hand whenever anything's around. Today I put down some buckwheat and clover as a cover crop, and then put a bunch of this dug up hugelkultur soil on, just to inoculate it with some microbial life and get some more roots growing in it. Because right now it's mostly wood chip. We got some seedling oaks that came with the compost. And then we've got some sea kale, a lot of little seedlings. You can see them here, they're pretty cute. That one's a root fragment, that's not a seedling. Some kind of peach, nectarine maybe, came with the compost. We got a lot of apples and pears and things like that popping up in our compost because everything we put in, a lot of it comes back. So here you can see the sea kale, beautiful, great leaves, awesome in stir fries, soups, any kind of saute. Some coriander growing in between. This looks like a little apple maybe popped up. There's some onions in here, just because we had them. We got some arugula going to seed. We're trying to establish that as a dominant weed, quote, weed in the landscape. So that's exciting. We've got some comfreys that aren't thrilled to be in this wood chip. We got some groundnut, tomatoes, buckwheat, a bunch of white currants here. Super delicious. We'll not be offering these this year, but maybe in the future. So good. There's some lemon balm in here. It also isn't super happy, but it's hanging on. Once things start to break down, it'll jump back. And here we got some raspberries, groundnut, tomatoes. You can see a dominant theme here. Oh, also lots more seedling Turkish rockets. So this one here is first year. They're all first year. And some of them are quite small. Some of them are quite big. So that's fun. And groundnut. Dominant theme is that that carpet of clover and buckwheat. Just because, you know, our soil is wood chip. So get some nitrogen in. Gonna start doing some compost tea to really build up the microbial community. More Turkish rocket, some tomatoes, a bunch of currant cuttings, some oregano. This is a cool little polyculture in here. We've got this grafted spy-gold apple to the south, so that's gonna get lots of sun. Then to the northwest, there's an alder. We'll chop and drop that to pulse nitrogen into the soil. And then to the southeast, this black currant. So that'll hang out in the more later day shade and be happy to put on a nice crop of fruit. And then we've also got walking onion for an onion crop, and olfactory barrier, as well as this oregano. That's gonna sprawl out as a ground cover and be a nice smell barrier. Then in here, just more of those seedlings. We've also got some of this rutabaga seed that we grew out this year, and so that's just also one of those things we're trying to just establish as a, you know, self-sowing weed in the landscape. Got some black currant from cutting with some oregano. They're doing pretty well. It's a little bit weedy. Mulberry cuttings didn't do great, but some of them made it, and they can be trellis for peas and cucurbits and squashes and things like that. So that's fun. A little watermelon. Some more comfrey. More of these white currants. They're doing really well. Just loaded with fruit. So that's pretty exciting to see just how much fruit is on these. Ooh. Yeah, a lot of fruit. Some more oregano, buckwheat. Same thing here, mulberry cuttings, trellising tomatoes and beans and squash and stuff. Some of them, you can see there's a little bit, maybe, I don't know if it comes up, but a few of them spread it out. In the future, I'll not make them so big. I think that was part of the problem, but live and learn. Some horseradish, that's gonna be an exciting one. More seedling sea kale. This one is really happy here. Just better soil. And then these are shagbark hickory from seed. So these are on their second year of growing. So they're 2019 seed, grew out 2020. And then here, some beans and oregano and stuff. There were some cherries planted in here. They didn't do too well. They kind of sprouted and then died. I think just not enough moisture retention in this one. It's got a lot of potting soil just because we have a big pile of potting soil over there, so we figured, well, might as well use it. It's a second hand from a weed farm, so that's pretty cool. They just get rid of it, which is insane, but at least we could give it a good use. Wouldn't buy it, but it's nice to have. And then these are some more of those shagbarks. And then we got a oil nut, also known as bitternut hickory, out here, also in their second year. Some elderberry cuttings, doing pretty well. Some oregano on the end, some summer squash in the middle, some beans, some more beans and squashes. We had some garlic in these beds. This was like supermarket garlic, didn't do great. The seed garlic we bought did really well, and also the garlic we bought from local farms through Market Mobile. If you're Rhode Island, you might know Market Mobile. They're great. If you don't, you should look into them. We got some volunteer chestnuts coming up here. They must have just come in the compost. And then some apples, nice summer squash, some more garlic, lots more garlic. Got a bunch of black currants in here. They're hanging out, having fun. There's a watermelon and some beans, sharing the space with them. We got 2 different varieties of honeyberry, so we'll see how they do. When we got them this year, and they were just in real rough shape, so we're trying to nurse them back. They've got some nice new growth, so hopefully we can keep them healthy. Some more beans, some sunchokes. Rabbits seem to enjoy the sunchokes, but that's all right, we let them. Lots of beach plums, which are really cool. Rhode Island coastal shrubbing plum, really salt tolerant, drought tolerant, just awesome plants grown with some kale. We're gonna have lots of beach plums to offer this year, so that feels really exciting. They did so well, and we're really excited to get them out to as many places as we can. Got a few more black currants in here with some more coriander, some pine berries, some volunteer hazelnuts just popped up, cucumber. another elder cutting. We trialed digging a bunch of ponds, kind of in the style of Sean over at Edible Acres, which if you don't know, definitely check him out. Actually, I forgot to mention this chaotic polyculture over here with the apple. A lot of these, the bigger plants, the alder, the blackcurrant, and the apple were courtesy of Sean. So thanks, Sean. And yeah, so we tried to dig these pits. The soil here is just way too sandy, and we're too high above the water table for them to hold water for any point of the year. So what we did, and we used that soil to cap a lot of these wood chip raised beds, and that let us get some roots in them. We then just filled them with wood chips and wine cap spawn. So we've just been growing out tons of wine caps, and we had such a heavy crop this spring, we didn't even know what to do with them. So we're gonna be better prepared for the fall crop with farmers markets and restaurants and stuff, and be able to actually get them into mouths, because it was just way beyond our capacity to eat. And we're a pretty big group, but it was too much for us. So that's exciting. We hope to also be able to offer bags of wine cap spawn. And you know, they're non-sterile, making all kinds of antibiotics to protect themselves, and really just hardy outdoor, vital. You know, we keep shuffling the medium that they're growing on to keep them from senescing, you know, feeding them things they might not normally eat just to keep them on their feet. So they're pretty vital, and whenever you put them in a new place, they just take hold right away. So that's exciting. We've got some bronze fennel growing here. These are all seedlings, and they're growing with this Marge elderberry. So that's exciting. And then we've got another Marge elderberry that my friend Sean just gave me as well. So now they can be friends. And just a little context of the site we are in here and Revive the Roots. So we're in the alley crop field. So there's a hardy pecan there. There's a bunch of pears and peaches in these rows. And so there's 4 rows, and in between them there are different things going on. So Nuts and Bolts is here in the 3rd row. Annie and Deadbeat Farm is over in the 4th row. We've got You Pick Berries for Revive the Roots here, and then there'll be some flowers and stuff over in the 1st row. Still working on that. This is that rutabaga seed that I was talking about, and just throwing everywhere trying to get it. It's got some massive tubers, which is or roots, or whatever you call the root mass of a rutabaga. And then the leaves were so tasty throughout all of the vegetative growing period, like sweet, not too bitter, just real great texture. The flowers were delicious, the florets were delicious, the young seed pods were delicious, even the seeds are pretty good, and it makes such a heavy seed crop that, you know, I'm gonna harvest a bunch and try and make some mustard or something out of it. They're not quite as spicy as mustard, but they've got a little bit of a tang to them, so that'd be nice. Just every part of this plant is amazing and useful and delicious and so nutritious and excellent. There's a nut burying buckets and pit. We've got some seedling asparagus growing in here. They're doing pretty well. We might offer some this year. We might hold off until next year. See how they do. Some potatoes and squash chilling on the other side of this bed. More potatoes. Another little polyculture. We got a Siberian pea shrub, a few red currants, a white currant, and some walking onions chilling in here. Siberian pea for chop and drop mulch. Some nice black-eyed Susans. Trying to encourage as many wildflowers as we can. A bunch of boysenberry cuttings. Remember to pick flowers so that they focus on making roots when they're fresh cuttings. But they're doing great. They've put on tons of new growth. They're really locked in. So this bed was just sand excavated from the bottom of some of our pits, because the soil here is just straight up sand. which, has its benefits, but also its challenges. It dries out pretty quickly, but it drains well. Great for, rooting mixes and lifting plants, but also tough just because of its how quickly it dries out and doesn't hold nutrients and cations as well as some of the other stuff. But anyway, moving on to the air prune beds in the style of Sean and Akiva. We got 3 of chestnuts. They're looking great. I don't know if you can see that, but they're just full, thick carpet. These are a hybrid American Chinese, mostly Chinese, but they've got the resistance to the blight. They grow well. They make great big nuts, and we hope to be able to do some more work in chestnut breeding, but for now we're working with what we got. We got some apples, seedling, peaches. These peaches are almost 3 feet tall, and they're like 4 months old. It's incredible. Got some seedling pears and tupelo, which is pretty exciting. Make some tupelo honey. Some seedling oaks. A lot of cool genetic diversity in these oaks. At least their mothers were red oak, but you can definitely see some white oak phenotype slipping out. So probably a lot of stuff going on there. Pretty exciting. Some hops. They need to get in the ground. Tons more beach plums. Really exciting to see all these beach plums. We're gonna have power packs of beach plums or something like that. Whatever. Seedling hazels. They're looking great. Really excited about those. Some cherries. And we tried some hardy almonds. We got a few, but I think they dried out early in the season and just clocked out. When we pulled them out of the ground after stratifying, they were looking great. A lot of them were starting to sprout, but for some reason they just didn't do great. So we'll try again. More beach plums in pots because we ran out of space everywhere else. We've got some seedling Siberian pea shrub grown in here beneath all this mustard. Hoping the mustard just takes over, and instead of grass we have mustard. And some senna hebecarpa. That's a really exciting one to have. Just growing in mass from seed. Really excited about that. It's endangered in a lot of New England, so that's a really exciting one. And it's an important pollinator plant and nitrogen fixer and medicine. So we hope to be able to get that out to as many places as possible, especially here in New England. A couple different ways of doing black locust from seed. These were hot water bath. Link to Akiva's video about that here. And then these were, I kept the seed pods in their husks and then set them on fire. They did okay. A few of them are coming out. I think the ones on the edge. It honestly sounded like popcorn when I was burning them. I think it was a little much. So next year what I'm going to try is burying them under an inch-ish of soil and then building a small fire on top. And I think that'll really help. You can see there's, a half a dozen or so that are doing well, but overall, not great. Some more comfrey. We'll definitely have lots of comfrey to offer. And then seedling honey locust, again, beneath a forest of mustard. And then there's some raspberries along the back here. Boysenberries. Just made up this bed today. We've got a purple Mexican sweet potato that I got from an Amish market, and then a bunch of purple seed potatoes from some farm in the area. You might be asking, isn't it a little late to plant potatoes? And yes, they'll probably stay in the ground and we'll harvest them next year. They're a real dark purple inside and out, so they're probably pretty hardy, especially under some nice mulch. And we just got this, beautiful dug up hugelkultur soil, so that'll be real nice. I'm gonna scythe down some of these grass stalks and give it a mulch to keep some moisture in, and we'll hill them up and see what they do. More potatoes over here. Out this end we got some nice willow. This one came from our friend Sean, and switchgrass also from Sean. Trying to build up on-site mulch production with some good, fast-growing grasses and things. And we got some bronze fennel over here that's really starting to take off, which is pretty exciting. Hope to have just carpets of that all over forever and be able to offer that one. Just so delicious. Love just coming in and munching on it, making teas, putting it in, soups and curries, and that's a great one. An awesome stinging nettle, really therapeutic sting. I use it a lot for joint pain, which I have often, and it's just really nice and cooling for hours. You get this just subtle tingle and a nice cooling sensation. It's like icy hot, but for 4 hours, and from a plant that is also super nutritious and grows abundantly. And then in the fall, you can take the fiber stalks and make baskets and textiles out of them. So pretty amazing. More willows from cuttings. These are from a local tree down by the Providence River. Bunch of seedling anise hyssop. That's another great one. Drink that every morning as a tea throughout the whole year. Super productive. And this one, the anise hyssop, is the most loved plant by all of the pollinators, and birds come, they eat the seeds, hummingbirds come and drink the nectar, bees, butterflies, everyone is just swarming around this plant. So that's a really exciting one to have and be able to offer a lot of. And then some more elderberry cuttings. In the back, we've got a bunch of sunchokes. So that's kind of what's going on here. We're really focusing on building soil and organic matter in the soil, building that soil food web, because the soil here it's nice, but it's real sandy and dries out pretty quickly. And we got a lot of grass here, which is fun, but not really what we're looking for. And so we're trying to move to a really fungally dominated soil. We're lucky enough to have a massive wood chip dump here, and there's a tree company down the street that just comes and dumps wood chips here. So I've just been carting out load after load after load and just building up this soil. We've got wine cap running through it. We've got whatever other fungi are coming in and making their home, the bacteria, the protozoa, the archaea, all the little microarthropods, the whole gambit, the whole soil food web, trying to really just build up that fertility, have that nice humusy soil to lock in moisture, and then also just be permeable. And that's another feature of the ponds, is even though they don't hold water, when there's a pulse rain event, they collect it and then let it percolate into the soil and slowly make its way up through the nursery. And that feels really important, to be recharging the soil with water, catching every drop that falls, and having that permeability so that it doesn't just sheet run off and down into the watershed, but really gets locked in. All the sediment gets trapped, the nutrients get locked up, and it just feeds all the roots of the plants and just makes there be more of everything. So that's kind of what's going on. First video update, excessively long, but a lot to cover. So I'm going to try and be a little bit better, maybe once a week or twice a month or so. Do a video update on what's going on, especially if it's something interesting happening. And yeah, peace.